Welcome to the Cincinnati Bengals Weekly Show on the Grilling Truth Sports Network. The Cincinnati Bengals Show and the Grilling Truth, as always, is powered by Betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding the online casino or sports book that's right for you. Make sure you check them out at Betting.net. I'm your co-host for the Cincinnati Bengals Weekly Show, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my co-host, Bengals legend from the Super Bowl 23, AFC champions, Joe Kelly. How you doing, Joe?
Mike, I don't think it's a better time to be a Bengal fan. We have that feeling again. And, I was looking at the post game celebration that the Bengals were having, and everybody's talking, including us. We're talking about, man, we have a hell of a schedule. We got a lot of good teams to face, and I just love the attitude that Zach and the players had, and as opposed to saying, okay, hey, we have a hell of a schedule, but what about us? They have to play us. So look at, you go into Tennessee and hey, we beat them last year and they all this revenge stuff, and they walk into Tennessee with the confidence that, hey man, it's not about them, it's about us. We go out here and execute our game plan, stop the run, get two hats on, the big running back, big boy, and we can slow them down, make Tannehill beat us, and that's what they did. They went into Tennessee and I'm loving all facets of of the Bengals right now.
Yeah, and the run defense is a thing that really sticks out. When you got DJ Reader healthy, I don't think a lot of people realize just how good a run stopper is. I think he's the best run stopping defensive tackle in the NFL right now, Joe.
Yeah, he's there. I think the kid from Tennessee, Simmons, is right up there. But DJ, you can see the difference. There was push. We had push on passing situations, and when they were trying to run the ball, there was nowhere to run. There was nowhere to run. They had to double team him all day, and he was getting pushed. They were double teaming, and he was not allowing them to collapse him down and collapse the line of scrimmage, which made it a lot easier for our linebackers to come in and fill the holes, and our safeties and DBs on a couple of times coming filling the holes because our interior defense led by Big DJ was handling their business.
Yeah, and when you control the line of scrimmage like that, and a guy who's really coming into his own, I think, would be a cornerback, would be Cam Taylor Britt. And I mean, he's played really well.
Yeah,
I mean, he
yeah.
had a couple mistakes, but that dude will come up and hit you.
Yeah, it's baptism under fire right now. He's in a situation that prior to we hear going down, um, he could kind of learn off of those, but now he's in the fire, man, and he is answering the bell, man, and I think just as how well our defensive line is playing, how well the linebackers and led by our experienced safeties, he's filling in and he's filling in well, and he's contributing. He's just not there. He's just not just being a guy out there. He's making some plays. He's flying around, um, and looking good, and helping our defense execute and get some big wins like they did on Sunday.
Yeah, and with Cam, you also, I mean, right now, the great thing about this team is you're two-thirds through the season and you're getting guys step up that you didn't expect much from.
Yeah,
He's one of them. And another
yeah.
one is Trenton Irwin, who has only
Oh
made four
yeah,
catches over the past 2 weeks.
yeah, Trent.
But that catch he made in that last game against Tennessee was a huge play in that game. He scored a touchdown a week before against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's got good hands. He runs great routes. He's a great addition because once we get Jamar Chase back, he's
Yeah.
probably the fourth or fifth guy. That'll tell you how good this receiver core is.
Yeah, the kid has come in, and we needed him. They asked him to come in and contribute, and both his plays and both the last two games, they were game changers. That catch against Tennessee, not only was it just a hell of a catch, it was at a crucial time.
I think it was
So
third and long, wasn't it?
yeah, it started along, and he got both feet in. Oh man, it was Uh, and that's a catch that only the top tier receivers in the league can make that catch. What he has contributed to our offense, his chase has been out, man, has been tremendous. And that's just gonna, like I said, that's gonna bode well for when Chase come in and giving Chase or T Higgins a breather. He's coming in, and I know when you go in and you're called upon and you answer and you make the plays that Trent has made, his confidence is going up as well. So he's going to be chomping at the bits to anytime that he can and get in and fit in and get in that third, be that third wide out or even that fourth wide out. Uh, Joey can know that he can go to him with confidence and know that he's going to catch that ball.
Yeah, and the offensive line has finally started to gel. They've started to play well together. And
Yeah.
the run game is finally good. Nobody would have thought that with Joe Mixon out. I still believe Joe Mixon's played hurt most of the year, and he's also
Mhm.
played behind a bad offensive line. So
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody that wants to jump on Samaje Perine is necessarily better than Joe Mixon. I don't know if that's the case. Perine is a hell of a running back.
Yeah.
Travion Williams made a big play or two
Yeah.
also. They
A
turned
nice
out
step in.
78 yards or 76 yards on
Mhm.
19 carries against a stout Tennessee run defense. So with Jamar Chase coming back, I mean, the Bengals just won 3 games without Jamar Chase. I don't
Yeah.
think that can be overstated how big of a deal that is.
Oh, that's major. Because Jamar Chase is a game changer. In my opinion, Jamar's in the top five. He changes the way defenses can approach you. And like we said, hey, we love Samaji, how he runs. Samaji is a north and south runner, and that's the big difference. Joe, he's a north and south, but he has the ability to go east and west at times as well. But just like you said here, I still think Joe obviously is number one guy. When you get you have two guys coming off the bench that can contribute like Samaji did and Williams, that's great. But like you said, you have to look at what our offensive line did. And our offensive line went against the formidable D line down in Tennessee, and they shut Big Boy out, man. So here, these guys were, not only was Joe sitting back and not getting touched, these guys were opening lanes, running lanes. So here, it's a combination. Joe's coming and people were when getting down on Joe Mixon, talking at times, but we know we were there. We looking at it. We look at the film and looking at all that stuff. You can see Joe was getting hit. He was getting hit sometimes even before he got the ball. So here, but it takes offensive linemen. The fact that our offensive line didn't play any in preseason, didn't play in training camp, and it took some times, and they were getting their ass kicked in the beginning of the season because there was no cohesion. So now you can see it, and now you got Volson. Volson has what he has. How many games? The multiple double-digit games underneath his belt. He's not a rookie anymore. And he held his own. He held his own against very good Tennessee defensive line. So with both our offensive line doing well and those guys coming in, I think it's going to bode well for Mixon if he is able to come back fully healthy.
Yeah, and the thing that's really scary about this team is you lose Jamar Chase. Not many teams can replace a guy like that. But I think what we've seen from T. Higgins is a true number one receiver for almost any team in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. When he came in his rookie year, and how the splash he made as a rookie, he was definitely the Bengals number one. So even when they drafted Chase, you still had to figure out, okay, here they got Chase. What are they going to do with the T Higgins? Because T Higgins just proved that he was a number one receiver over a 17 game stretch. So I think he's still a 1A. I don't look at him a number two receiver. I look at him being a 1A receiver that can go in, that can stretch the field, that can make catches. He can utilize his length. Over some of the shorter receivers. So it's great, to have a plethora of weapons. I think, hey, Mike, Ty just made a comment towards you, buddy.
Ty, did Mike just give the offense I think the offensive line a
Offensive line to
compliment.
come. He
Yeah,
said
I think they're very average right now, and I will take that in a heartbeat because that means they're in the top half of the NFL if they keep
yeah,
playing average. And I think Cordell Volson played extremely well. What he did with Simmons was very impressive. Karras is good. I'm still not real sold on the tackles, which is why I think this line is kind of average.
yeah,
But I do think Jonah and Leo Collins are much better run blockers than they are pass blockers.
yeah,
But the great thing about that is if you can run the ball, that backs the defensive line off a little bit, makes them a little bit less apt to blitz, which does make your tackles better just because you can run the ball a little bit, Joe.
yeah. Yeah, I still think the jury is out on Jonah. I believe Collins has proven that he's a Pro Bowl player. I think here, even though being a Pro Bowl caliber, he
Hey,
made it
wait a
in
second,
interior.
Joe. I just realized something. Ty's a teacher. He's supposed to be teaching class right now, and he's
He
making
is.
comments
He's
on the
at
show.
lunch. He's
I
at
mean,
lunch.
it's
He's at
not
lunch.
lunch at 2:18. And see, he can't come tonight, or he couldn't do
Yeah.
the show tonight because I think his wife has him under her thumb, making him do
Yeah.
something. I don't remember what he
Hey,
said, but
yeah.
I find it scary that we've got teachers chiming in here, Joe.
Chiming in. He's down looking at his phone.
He's
Uh,
obviously got tenure.
Yeah, so I just think here, offensive line, there is, you have to play together. There has to be cohesion because when the other teams are running stunts and doing the things that they're doing, trying to take advantage of our rustiness. These guys they're making calls. Karras he's leading and making calls and picking up blitzes. You can see the communication. You can hear the communication during the game and see that these guys they're more confident in what they're doing. So in the beginning of the season, you're seeing a Joe getting hit. A lot of guys not even been blocked. Those are mental mistakes. So here, I think these guys, when you have the ability to play, and I still, Mike, if I'm not mistaken, I think we're the only offensive line in football that all five starters have played every game. If there may be one, but I know it's no more than one or two teams that their offensive line, all five guys have
Yeah,
started
and
the entire
real
season.
quick, I mean, I think the thing that gets undersold or undersold with the Cincinnati Bengals, and Paul Sullivan asked a question. He says, Joe, what's the next step for our defense? I feel like our offense, when clicking, can't be stopped. How can our defense improve to be talked about as an elite defense? And Joe, this is an elite defense. The reason they don't get talked about like that is because the offense has all the flashy stuff, kind of like the 88 Bengals team. I
Yeah,
think when you watch what this defense has done
yeah.
all year, I think they are elite.
Well, you look at it. You look at how bad our offense was the first three games. So, Paul, you think about how bad our offense was, and those 3 games, it was a defense. The defense that kept the Bengals in and took all those things to the last possession type games. This defense. They had done something that hadn't been done, I think, in 50 years. I know it was something crazy when you
Yeah, the shutout for
stop your
like
opponents
seven
from
straight
shut out
games.
punch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's without scoring. So they've done things. I think now the biggest thing, Paul, answering your question is our young DBs, Cam Taylor and Hill. Uh, those guys have to contribute. I think our with having DJ Reader back, having DJ Reader back is going to open it up for Hendrickson
Yeah. And BJ Hill
and Sam.
also. BJ Hill's done a hell
Oh
of a
yeah,
job.
definitely. So I think our defensive line, right now is playing just as well as any defense in the league. I think the biggest thing to me, because I've always said Logan, 55. I like the kid. I like the kid how he plays against the run. I love when his position and understanding zone defenses and reacting. Because when you run in zone in NFL, ultimately zones turn into men to man to man. In your area, and he's understanding that concept. But a guy that was never high on my radar, Mike, you liked him, was 57. I see him. He was an inside guy, but I see this dude. I seen him dropping back. I seen him. They're lining him up outside. I seen him fill the hole. I seen him come downhill. that was one of my biggest things. Criticisms of him as a linebacker, that he makes his tackles 7, 8, 9 yards down the field and jumps up. But he's tagged the line of scrimmage. He's making tackles for losses. So when you got 57 complementing 55, that's going to happen. And our young corners, if they can hold up, I guarantee you at the end of this year, stat wise, our defense is going to be in the top 5, no doubt.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring up real quick. Ty, of course, can't be on today because he had prior engagement tonight. We did the show today. I knew he was in school, so he probably couldn't be on. If you want to hear Ty's take, make sure you check out, I believe it's at 10 o'clock live tonight on Facebook. You should be able to get it on Twitter also. Is the Froggy Radio Show out of VV, Indiana with Joe Spillman. Ty was on there to preview the Bengals Chiefs game, so you can get Ty's take that way. And also during the show, I was on the show to talk about the college football playoffs, so make sure you check that out at 10 o'clock tonight. And the other thing here, Joe, well, first I want to bring up that your top sportsbook comparison site is betting.net. They offer extensive reviews on the best sportsbooks out there. Check them out. Make sure you check out TGT Play on YouTube and click on the link in the description and below in the video if you're watching on YouTube to bet the game on Betfred, which is our top selected site to bet the games this weekend. But the thing that's really stood out to me, and I didn't like when they kept Kevin Huber at the start of the year. Not that he wasn't any good, but I think we saw towards the end of last year, he didn't have the pop in the leg he used to have.
Yeah.
Drew Chrisman has come in the last 2 weeks, and he's been outstanding. I think last week he averaged like 50 yards a punt on 5 punts. But the coolest thing about this, Kevin Huber, actually, I don't think Chrisman knew this until after the game, but Kevin Huber kept the ball from Drew Chrisman's first punt as the starter last week and gave him the ball. And I think that indicates, number one, what kind of classy dude Kevin Huber is. And number two, why the Bengals were slow to make that move, because Kevin Huber, even though he's a punter, does sound like he's a leader on a team. And to do something like that with some young kid just came in and took your job, I think is highly impressive.
Well, I think my personal opinion, when you're dealing with a veteran guy like Kevin Huber, not only just him being a hometown kid, because I think it's bigger than that. I think it's for an organization to take Kevin Huber and not just flat out cut him. And not cutting him because they, even though this young kid got a little stronger leg, right? Right before, a little more stronger than Kevin. But they knew that he can still punt, and his presence in that locker room, is big. And then just him tutoring the young punter. I think they felt in their minds that let's keep Kevin, X amount of games, or the whole year, to get this kid going, and disrespect Kevin for everything that he's contributed to the Bengals organization. So that's a shout out to Zach or whoever was in the
Well, how about
decision
this?
of
I think
keeping him.
they got really lucky that nobody signed him off the practice squad.
Oh, absolutely.
Because then that
Yeah.
changes the shout outs, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, there's tricks and things when teams and coaches try to hide guys on the practice squad, and or put them down there to hopefully you make some teams not because if you put this guy out there and he's punting like he was punting against Tennessee, somebody's going to take a chance on him. And when you look at the couple of times when our offense was backed up all the way, in the end zone, those are game-changing punts, and he's punting and it's going 55, 57 yards. So, if you get a punter and his hang time is not as well, and that kick only goes, 45 yards, then hey, now they're not getting the ball on their side of the field on the 40. They're getting that ball on our side of the 40, which is a 20-yard difference, which ultimately, those could turn into field goals, even if they don't score, 3 points. And, here we win by 4 points. And 2 of those tremendous kicks, had they not been as tremendous as they were, could have ultimately resulted in 2 field goals, which is 6 points, which would have definitely been the difference in the victory.
All right. Now, real quick, before we go on to our Bengals Chiefs preview, remember, find the best place to bet for you. Betting.net offers expert user reviews for every online sports book and casino in the state you live on. Check them out. Bengals Chiefs. This is a huge game. The Bengals beat the Chiefs twice in a month last year. And right now, the Chiefs lead the AFC with 9 wins. The Bengals are at 7. I think this is big in multiple ways for the Bengals because a win, you got a shot at home field advantage. But the other thing is, a win keeps you even with the Ravens. We have to expect the Ravens are going to win this week. But I think the Ravens are a little overrated, but their schedule's so weak. I don't think they're going to
Yeah.
lose too many more games.
Yeah.
So I think on the other side with the Chiefs, if you were to come out and lose for a third straight time to the Bengals, it's going to make it really hard if you have to play them again in the playoffs because at some point, Joe, doesn't this kind of have to get in your head if you fall short again?
It does. I mean I think that's kind of overrated, overstated. Just like us going into Tennessee. Tennessee had everything on the board. They had the bulletin, the material. They had the fact that
Yeah, but
they
that's
were.
kind of my point. We beat them
Mm,
last year in a huge
yeah, yeah.
situation, and I think it does have some effect.
I mean, you got to go out. You got to play the game. I think as a professional, I think that's your pregame motivation. But once that whistle blows, now it's about execution. Who's going to out execute who? The fact of the matter, they are probably the hottest team. We're right up there. So you can look at our records. Records right really don't matter. We're playing at a high level. They're playing at a high level. So now it's going to be which defense is able to slow down the other offense. When we look at just like Kelsey's going to be a tough match. Uh, Mahomes is a guy that can do it all. Uh, but just like the last 2 times that we faced him, Lou came up with some great adjustments. And for us to that looking at with a 4-man front, jumping to a 3-man front, having a guy shadow him, to keep him in the pocket. So it's going to be it's going to game them. They know what we do. We know what they do. So it's going to be the team here. I think it's evenly matched. I think they are the #1 ranked team. But honestly, when I look at it, um, and especially if Jamar plays. And the way our backup running backs have run, and even if we get Joe Mixon or not, I think they have more of an issue with us, with Jamar, with Hurst, with T, with Tyler, with Samaji, with
To put
Joe
it like this,
Burrows.
Joe, I think the Bengals are actually a better team than they were last year, and I think the Chiefs are not as good, especially on
No,
offense. The wide receivers are not the same.
no, they don't. I mean, you lose Tyreek. You can say what you want. You don't have that now. They're one of the big offseason acquisitions. Juju is out for the game. But they are a formidable team. They can run. But it's Mahomes. It's Mahomes and Kelsey. Um, Kelsey is Kelsey. The thing is, you just don't let him score for 4 touchdowns. He's gonna
Well,
when he
Trey
catches.
Flowers
Yeah,
controlled him last year in both games.
yeah, but it's when you are in a position to he's gonna make catches. He's gonna make catches. When you're in position, you're covering. Bring him down, make the tackle. His are it's the yards after catch with him breaking tackles, especially from defensive backs and gaining another 15, 16, 17 yards, if not taking it all the way to the end zone. But I think we can match up against their run, just like we shut down Tennessee. Our thing is to keep Mahomes in the pocket. So, like you said, honestly, I think when you look at it, and not only because I guess well, it does attribute that the fact that we've been on a roll, but when you look at it, I like the Cincinnati Bengals better than the Kansas City Chiefs right now. Period.
Yeah, because I mean, if we look at the Chiefs, they didn't even look that great last week against the St. Louis or the Los Angeles
Also
Rams.
Rams. Yeah.
And when you look at what happened last week, it kind of ties into what happened last year between the Bengals and Chiefs because untimely turnovers are what led to the Bengals beating the Chiefs last year. You had the end of the
Hmm.
first half where they got no points when they should have at least gotten a field goal.
Yeah.
You had Mahomes throwing a momentum shifting interception at the tail end of the third quarter to give the
Yeah.
Bengals plus field position down 21-13. You had the overtime interception. And
Hmm.
last week we saw the Chiefs again committed a couple really bad turnovers. I mean, Mahomes
Yeah.
throws a red zone pick, Sky Moore muffs a punt, and when you see this, I mean, this is a team that lost to the Colts a few weeks ago, which I know those things happen. But they squeaked by the Chargers. I don't think the Chargers are world beaters. They only beat the Rams 26-10. This is not like it's the Chiefs of 2 or 3 years ago
No,
that
no,
were beating
no,
45 teams 45
no.
to 3.
No, this is definitely not that team. But they're the thing is that they're playing with the same kind of swag. They're not the same team. They're not as good as they were when they went to the Super Bowl. They're not better than they were last year, personnel wise. I think anytime you have a quarterback of the caliber of Mahomes and you have which will probably go down as one of the greatest tight ends to ever play football, they're going to make plays. But two guys can't beat 22. Is that simple. I think where our offensive line is, um, our biggest thing in this stretch, Mike, is going to be injuries. If we are able to stay healthy for the most part, I think we're going to go into every game with an opportunity to win. But here I think just like we were talking about last week, let's go in and let's play Kansas City Chiefs. Let's win. All that other crap. Let that crap. We'll see that. We'll see it when it comes. We got Kansas City on Sunday. Let's go to work. I don't care about us. Winning 2 years, 2 games in a row, and it's gonna be hard to beat teams for the third time.
I
No,
don't
let's go
believe
out
that,
there.
by the way, because
Yeah,
if I've
yeah.
beaten a team twice, hell, I know I can beat
I can
them.
beat them again.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
I'm the Chiefs, I
yeah,
don't know for sure I can beat the Bengals.
yeah. And I it's good that the Chiefs are playing at a high level right now because if I think if they weren't, I think we would go in there probably overconfident. Well, we beat them twice. Da, 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 da. So the fact that they are ranked as the number one team in the league right now, I think here we're going to go in with the mindset that we're better than them. And we're at home.
Yeah, and the other thing is the Kansas City Chiefs will try to extend a streak where since Patrick Mahomes has been there over the last few years, they have won 26 consecutive games in November and December, which is the longest streak by any team during November and December in NFL history. Their last loss they lost 35-32 to the Titans in 2019. So what my dad, I remember watching the Reds, and Tony Perez had come up to bat, and I remember a 75 World Series, he like 0 for 12 at the start of the series, and my dad wasn't worried. He looked at me and said, "Well, he's due, son." And then Perez hits a home run, ties game 4, I think it was, or game 5. Reds go on to win the game in the series. But I think there is a lot to say for that because nobody wins forever, just like nobody loses forever. I mean,
Yeah.
even the Browns find a nut every once in a while.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing about this is if the Bengals win this weekend, I think all of a sudden then you do start to get the same feeling you had last year. And if that happens, as we saw last year, that momentum can be really tough to stop.
It's tough to stop, and you look at it, and I think this team is so much more unique than we look at our '88 team and then we look at the '81 team, um, because I think this as team as a whole, the core is a lot younger, um,
Well, that
and
88 team was pretty damn young,
oh,
Joe. I think
we're
you were
pretty
first
young.
or second youngest team in the NFL,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
Mike
we're the
Brown
third youngest.
tore it apart.
But when we went to the Super Bowl, you remember our with Plan B. Our just like Kansas City, we had deductions. We didn't have any additions.
Well, that was
So
just because of the front office, Joe.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely, no doubt. So you look at here now, and they made additions, and they made positive additions, and I think right now those additions are right where you want them to be. Everybody's healthy, everybody's playing at a high level, and you know. You go in and you beat Kansas City, and Kansas City is the hottest team in the league besides Philly. Um, it's now everybody is looking at, here we got to play our best game against, Bengals. We are, and we will have a target on our chest. But I think this is a team that, um, I think this team is built for that. I think they're built. I think the Cleveland game was fiasco. Those things happen. But I think we're right there. We're right where we want to be.
Yeah, and then you get the Cleveland Browns next week, which you
Mhm.
don't know what you're going to get with the Browns because sometimes the Browns are really good, as we saw when we played them earlier.
Mhm.
Sometimes they're really bad, as we've seen for the majority of the season since they have a losing
Mhm.
record. And you've got Deshaun Watson. He hasn't played in 2 years. No
Yeah.
idea what you're getting there
Yeah.
either. So
Mhm.
I think it's all right there for the Bengals. When I look at the NFL, there's no team right now that stands out to me as being the dominant team. But I
No.
do think this, out of all the teams that are there, I think the Bengals and the Niners are the two teams that strike me as the most complete teams because
Yeah.
they can get after it on defense. I think you have some questions about Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco, but you got Debo Samuel, Krista McCafferty. They've got a ton of weapons like the Bengals.
Yeah.
And when you watch the defense of the Bengals last week against Tennessee, and I'm sorry, I know everybody in the world hates Eli Apple. I think even if parents hate him, but
Yeah.
he
He made
made
some
a couple
plays.
big
Yeah, he
plays
made
this last
plays.
week.
Yeah, he made
And
some plays.
last year, remember when we got to the end of the season,
Mhm.
Eli Apple made big plays. He
Yeah.
caused the interception in Tennessee to start the game. He
Mhm.
made a big play against Kansas City. So he catches a lot
Yeah.
of crap, but it's also a position that is probably outside of quarterback, even including quarterback. Cornerback may be the toughest position to play in the NFL,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
if
Oh,
you're a
yeah.
young dude.
Yeah,
Which
you
which
got
is
it.
why
Yeah.
Sauce Gardner is so damn good too.
Yeah, but cornerback is, that's a position that's the swag position that you got to have confidence because the guy's going to catch the ball.
It's like
And
a relief pitcher on a baseball team, Joe.
yeah, you got to go in and you got to take the plays where they make catches, and you got to come right back. I think you just got to with him. He has to believe in his ability. You're a 4-3 guy. You're a 4-3 guy, low 4-4 guy. Let your natural ability take its course. You can run with it just about anybody. So you don't have to play timid. You don't have to play scared. 3rd and 4. Don't line up at 10. It's 3rd and 4. And you can run. You can, even if this guy did a 9 route, which is straight deep route, you can run with him. But when you got guys that they don't believe in their ability, you see him playing passive. And I think he made some aggressive plays. He made some plays on the ball. They caught some balls on him. But I think more than anything, I've seen him be more competitive, man on man, than I had seen him in a while.
So the only thing I do worry about here is, and believe it or not, is overconfidence. Because I do hear a lot of chirping from both sides, but it only worries me when my sides decide doing the chirping. Even Katie Blackburn or Elizabeth Blackburn even chimed in today, which
Oh, what?
somebody needs to tell her to chill her ass out because she is not the one that changed the culture in Cincinnati. Joe Burrow is. If
Yeah,
Joe
yeah,
Burrow
yeah,
never shows up, this team's probably
yeah,
gone when the lease is up.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah,
be
yeah,
quiet.
yeah, yeah. So I didn't hear what she said, but yeah, it's funny
Yeah,
when
it
yeah.
was like 20 minutes before we came on here because everybody was retweeting. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Yeah, yeah. I that's what I kind of see, man. It's kind of ironic and kind of funny. My wife and I, we were, I think the last game we went to Dallas or New Orleans. New Orleans probably, and we see just Bengal fans flocking the airport down in New Orleans, and we're
Oh yeah,
cracking
the
up.
Bengals are like the Steelers now,
Yeah, we're
where
cracking up,
yeah.
man, because 2 years ago, we're going to because we've been going to away games. We go to away games, and we're literally the only one. It might be four other people that have a bingo
I'm
shirt
sorry,
on.
Joe, but I went to games in the '90s and the early 2000s
Oh
where I
yeah, so
was
you.
the only person
Oh
there.
yeah. Oh, absolutely, man. So it's funny. Just you're talking about game tickets, man. We have four season tickets, and we're getting hit up all the time. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I could literally be on my way down to Paul Brown here. I may have probably was doing like an autograph session or something, doing one of the alumni events. So I got two additional tickets. Hey, Facebook Live, I got four tickets for free. For free, great seats. I'm getting. Oh no, man! I'm going to Chuck E. Cheese today. Man, I'm just going to kick back, man, at the bar. I'm going to do this. Now, man. Oh man, my phone is ringing off the hook. You got some? You got some? I couldn't give tickets away for years. So it's a great thing, but just kind of ironic, and I get it. I get it. But I'm happy for the diehard fans who went
Damn, Joe,
through
you
the
got four
'90s.
tickets. You never invited me.
Mike, Mike, you always coaching, dude. You always working. I think you do a radio show at 1 o'clock, man, at kickoff on Sunday.
That's a bullshit excuse, Joe, but that's all right.
Oh
All
man,
right, guys. So Bengals Chiefs this weekend. Bengals win.
absolutely, absolutely. I think we going to stand pat at home. I think we're going to make a statement because I think we still feel we need to make a statement because
Well,
I'm
they're
sure Kansas City
underdogs
is.
at home,
Yeah,
so
Kansas
that'll
City.
tell you they do need
that
to still make
that
a
that's
statement.
that's that's what it is. So here, that in itself just shows you the disrespect that they still have for this organization. But in the same time, that's based on what we did at the beginning of the season. So had we won those three games, I reckon we'd be 10-1.
And we would be a pick 'em in this game because
Yeah, yeah,
really, this comes from the last 50 years,
yeah.
if you
So
know what I mean.
it's something I think it's good for us. I think it's good because I think it's a motivator. I think here, Kansas City is going to come in here with the mindset they beat us two times in a row. We're going to come in there and we're going to kick their ass. And the Bengals are saying no. We know we're better than you, and I'm pissed off that I beat you. I beat you at home, then I beat you at your place, and now you come back to my place and we're underdogs again. I just think that's disrespectful, and you got to go out there and you got to handle it on the field.
All right, Joe. So, I mean, have you been contacted about being the UC head football coach? Everybody else has, from what I've seen on the internet.
I've played with Prime, and I think what he's done at Jackson State is uncomparable to any situation. The impact that he's made at Jackson State, and he has some coaching ability. Uh,
Yeah, but you know what, Joe? I would like to see him be different and kind of keep making that impact because I don't
well,
think you can have the same kind of impact
well,
coaching at a Big 12
Well,
school.
well, I think he can because I think a Dion at a UC will talk that kid in Ohio to come to UC and not
Yeah, but
Ohio
Joe, my
State.
point is this: it's going to keep those kids. It's going to make it so nobody pays attention to the HBCUs anymore. And we all know, like when
Yeah,
you were younger, when I was younger in the '70s, you had
yeah,
guys like Robert Brazil, Walter Payton,
yeah,
Eddie
yeah,
Payton. Those three
yeah,
guys all
yeah.
got
Jackie
drafted
Slater. Yeah,
from was it Jackson State in the
yeah,
same year? I think it was
yeah,
1975. So
yeah.
I would really like to see Dion because we know he doesn't need the money.
Yeah, no,
And I mean,
his impact is just crazy, man. What he's doing. But you look at Hugh Jackson, he's down at Grambling. You look at Eddie George. Eddie George is
yeah,
down
but
at Tennessee State.
those guys
No,
don't bring people like
no,
Deion Sanders.
absolutely not. So what he has brought to Jackson State has been tremendous, and I think and I'm hoping that because a lot of his staff are NFL players, a lot of Hughes staff are guys with NFL experience. Eddie George, he has guys that in a bunch of NFL experience. So with that, it will be a downer for Jackson State, and his son still has another year. I think if he does stay, and he doesn't take any of these offers, it's because of his son, Shador. So
Yeah, but you know what? I think he may take an offer because of his son. Because then his son, if you put him at a D1 school, you get to see how good he is. And if he puts
yeah,
up the same kind of stats,
oh yeah. I mean,
he gonna
I
be
get
a
that.
top 10 pick. Right
Yeah,
now, it's just like I saw an article the other day where Dion said my son should be in the Heisman. He shouldn't be. I mean, what do you
mm,
think Bryce Young would do to Alabama A&M? I mean,
yeah,
it's an unfair
yeah,
comparison. The
yeah,
kid looks really good,
yeah.
but you haven't seen him against D1 competition
No,
yet.
I think who should be in Heisman is Penix from University of Washington, who's the most overlooked quarterback in college,
Dude,
Mike.
dude, this is something
Yes.
you may not have known, but Michael Penix came from Indiana
And yeah,
University, which
yeah.
totally screwed him over, but he did get hurt a lot. But Michael
Well,
Penix is a good quarterback. I don't
yeah.
think
Well,
he's an NFL level quarterback, but I
I
think he's had a
not
hell
yet.
of a
I'm
season.
hoping that he comes back. But Kalen, our head coach DeBoer, was
Yeah, he
at
was from
Indiana.
Indiana
Yeah,
also.
so
Yeah.
he recruited him. So that's the connection. But I think if he stays and he gets another a year under UW, the numbers his numbers are better than just about everybody, especially everybody in Pac-10, Pac-12. But it is what it is. I'm just hoping
Yeah, but
that
this is the
UW.
thing. He didn't go off against Notre Dame in prime time, which is Caleb Williams,
Oh,
which
Caleb,
that
yeah,
probably won
yeah,
Caleb Williams. Similar to
yeah,
Carson
yeah,
Palmer, if you remember 2002,
yeah,
he had the
yeah.
huge game against Notre Dame. Everybody sees that. And let's face it,
Well,
this was supposed to be won by CJ Stroud or Bryce Young.
yeah, yeah.
Can't give it to him
Yeah,
now because we've seen them
yeah,
both get their asses kicked.
yeah. So I'm hoping for a New Year's bowl game for UW. Either I'm pulling for USC because I think if USC wins, we will get in the Rose Bowl over Utah. Um, and
Yeah,
we
you
were
will. I mean, how many
yeah
losses does Washington have?
we have two. So we
Two?
have two losses. We did have a bad loss against Arizona State,
Did you
but
play Utah?
no, we didn't play. We our biggest ones against Oregon. We beat Oregon, who was number 6. We beat them in Oregon. We beat Oregon State, which was 23 at the time. Oregon State came in to beat Oregon.
Yeah.
USC came back in the fourth quarter to beat Oregon State. So I think Oregon State was a underrated team as well. So it'll be nice. It'll be
Well,
nice
I mean,
for
the
us to
thing that
get
was
in.
nice is I think the Pac-12 is much better than it has been. Ty
Oh
Robbins,
yeah,
when is Ty Robbins coming back to the show? Whatever Ty Robbins could do the show, because we were doing the show at 7 tonight with Ty, and then he bailed on us. Hold
yeah.
on, wonder what his
Think he
I bet
has
his excuse
I
was
think he
wife
has a
related.
cheerleading class. He has to go with
Yeah,
his
and
wife.
Ty,
Yeah, yeah.
honestly, I mean, we decided to do it 2 o'clock because I got to do a college football show with Joe Spillman tonight. Since you didn't do the show with me, and I really thought you were still in school at 2:19. I think Ty might have skipped that last class
uh,
because I don't know of any schools that are done at 2:19.
uh, yeah.
But what the hell? So give us the score. Bengals Chiefs. What do you think?
I'm going in. I think both teams are going to score, but I think I'm looking at. I think we can score. 4 touchdowns and a field goal. So I'm looking at 31-27, Cincinnati.
I'm gonna say Bengals 38, Chiefs 24.
Right in
Just for
that
the hell of
ballpark.
it.
Yeah.
Just
So
for the hell of it.
it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a great game. I think it's a great game.
I'm
We're
hoping it's
in.
not. I hope we just
Yeah.
beat the hell out of them because I don't like all the stress, Joe.
Yeah. Well, plan on being stressed. Plan
But
on being stressed
after
because
last
it's
weekend,
still
I don't.
Mahomes.
After
Mahomes is
last
going to keep this
weekend,
team in there.
I don't have a team to coach again till next
Yeah.
year. All the
Yeah.
stress is gone, and now the Bengals are going to bring it back like they did last
Yeah.
year. But last
Yeah.
year was
Yeah.
positive stress.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hopefully it'll be
Yeah.
positive
Plan on being
stress.
stressful, brother.
And also, we got to figure out. I'm waiting because I was talking to Bengal Jim earlier today. We're trying to figure out a time to get him on because he wants to come on with us.
Yeah.
So I will probably get a hold of you guys as soon as he gives me a day, and we'll see if all 4 of us can work it out. So Ty,
Yeah.
Bengal Jim, Joe, and myself can do the show next week, and
Yeah.
hopefully we'll be sitting 8-4 of just beating the Chiefs
That'd be
and be
big.
talking about the Cleveland Browns and Deshaun
Yeah.
Watson.
Yeah. That would be. Oh my God, that would be big.
Hey, how about this? If the Bengals win, all right, I'll see if I can get one of those massage therapists that worked with Deshaun on the show.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think Ty's wife is going to let him come on the show.
Well, no, I don't mean in person. It's just we can, trash Deshaun Watson.
Ah, yeah, that's funny.
But all right,
Good
guys,
deal.
remember, I can't help it sometimes, Joe. I get bored. But betting.net finds the best promotions, offers, and bonus codes so you don't have to. Make sure you check them out at betting.net. Make sure you check us out at Grueling Truth. And check out Ty's Take, which should be out probably Friday or Saturday. I mean, come on, let's go. Ty gets out of school at 2. He should have the article done today. But you can check that out sometime this weekend. We will be back next weekend, hopefully with Bengal Jim. We'll see if we can figure out a time, because every time we're going to do the show with him, either one of us has to do a different time or he does. We've got a chat thing. That's probably Ty making some smart
Yeah, it's
aleck
time.
comment.
Let's see you
Nope,
next
it's
week.
see you next week.
All
All
right,
right,
bye.
guys. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, like, subscribe on YouTube. But for now, for Joe Kelly, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.